Well, a couple of things. First of all, like with our finances, all the money goes into one pot, right? And so since all the money goes into one pot, there is no, well, you use your money and take care of that. It's all our money. These are all our children. And so that's pretty much the mindset that we had to have with that.
To the biological, dealing with the biologicals, and then we're also gonna touch bases on your individual experience coming into this relationship and as it evolved. Okay, and so the biologicals. Tell me about your relationship with Jalen's mom.
We had a cordial relationship. Yeah, we really didn't have a whole lot of problems. We kept it about the kids, or kid, excuse me. We kept it about the kid. When she needed something. One of the things, she didn't, I told her that if she, for example, wanted to put me on child support, no problem, go ahead and do that. She said, well, that's not necessary as long as you do what needs to be done by him. And so what she would do is that she would tell me, well, he needs this, or he needs that, or he needs the other, and I would provide it. That would be pretty much the way it worked. And we would give her whatever it was that she needed when she needed it. We had to wait until a payday or something like that. But that was pretty much it. It was a very cordial relationship that worked well. The only real issues that we had in the early stages was obviously at one point in time she moved out of town and took him with her. And I begged her not to do that. But she had to do what she thought was best. And I understand that too.
Right. But I don't want to cut you off, but what you said was I think it can speak to the audience. She had to move, or she decided to move.
Sure.
A lot of people, a lot of husbands or ex-husbands or whatever, exes, have a huge problem with that and have a huge hard time dealing with that.
Sure.
What gave you the fortitude to deal with that?
Well, that's one of those grace of God things again. The grace of God is littered throughout this whole thing. Let's just be clear. Let's just be clear. Because like my wife said a moment ago, we had no idea what we were doing. So a lot of it was, you were working it out as you went along. But that's pretty much what it was. And she worked with me as it relates to him coming back. I got him every time, every time there was an extended break from school, a 4-day weekend or Thanksgiving or, Christmas and summer break and spring break and all of those things, we flew him back all the time. And so, like I said, she did the best that she could do, and I had to understand that. Did the best that she thought she could do as a single mother with, at that time, I believe, 3 children. And so you really couldn't be too hard on her for doing what she thought was right, because she was trying to make it work as best she could.
So I'm hearing 2 things. Effective communication was a huge part of this.
Sure.
And at some point, can I assume you were a man of your word?
I was at this point in my life. Once again, a grace of God thing. At that point in my life, I was, and she and my wife helped me in the areas where I would have been weak.
So you openly solicit your wife's help in that situation?
Absolutely.
That's critical.
She wasn't, a couple of things. First of all, like with our finances, all the money goes into one pot, right? And so since all the money goes into one pot, there is no, well, you use your money and take care of that. It's all our money. These are all our children. And so that's pretty much the mindset that we had to have with that. And she agreed with that. She agreed with that. Now, mind you, she would agree with that as well, obviously with Jalen, because I'm also agreeing with it with Trey. So there is no, well, take your money and do for Trey. No, it's all our money, these are all our kids, and we're going to figure it out and work together on it.
So the unity, it sounds like the unity was a huge theme. Communication, working together, didn't know what you were doing, but we're going to do it together, whatever it is.
We're gonna rise or fall, sink or swim together.
And so, and I think that's critical that the people need to hear is that you're coming into something that's so new and so dynamic and has the potential to really implode if it's not done carefully, right?
That's right.
And with minimal, or not necessarily minimal, but don't overestimate you know, the timetable for when this thing is gonna gel, right?
Right.
You know,
Right.
allow some mistakes, allow some rejection. You know,
yeah.
and
You're going to get plenty of it.
Yeah, yeah.
you're going to make plenty of mistakes, and you're going to get plenty of rejection.
Right. So that patience is critical. So I thank you. So tell me about the biological situation that you had to endure, which not necessarily, I learned from the production meetings that not necessarily the same dynamic as John.
You mean as far as Trey's father?
Yes.
Well, it was different with his father in that he was kind of in and out. He was not consistent in his life. So when bringing around Trey with John, one of the biggest things when we got married is you have to be consistent. Like it was pressure on him and duly put, you know, I do not want him hurt and disappointed with promises that you can't uphold. So that was one thing we definitely talked about beforehand. Like if you can't, not that they had to be like mushy, lovey-dovey, that kind of thing, but you have to have integrity. Like you have to do what you said you were gonna do with him. Like I cannot have him disappointed on both ends. And me and his biological father had this conversation too. You know, you either gonna be in his life or you're not. You don't call him, say you're gonna come and do this, and then don't show up. Like he needs consistency. He needs somebody who's gonna be there, and so he accepted that, and that was what he wanted to do. And so having to deal with his father, even before getting married, I kind of knew he was in and out. I accepted that was who he was, but still left the door open for if he wanted to be, let him be. And, you know, John accepted that, like, whether he liked it or not,
Right.
you know, he
It's preset shoes, you know, right? It's like,
whether he,
I
you
don't
know,
even have room to make
and I
mistakes.
understand it wasn't fair.
Yeah,
I understand it
yeah.
isn't fair.
It's not.
I'm acknowledged it's not fair. I'm asking you to do what his biological won't do, and it's not optional.
But
for
it's a
you.
package deal.
But it's a package deal,
And
and I
made
understand.
you made that clear
Right, at
in
the
the relationship. You
beginning.
made that as that's
Yeah,
the contingency.
yeah, that's the contingency
for this
relationship.
And that's critical because
Yeah.
you talk about setting precedent. We talked about that in our notes too. Setting standards, setting the
Yes.
expectations
Yes.
of how we're going to
Right.
engage. What is my expectations for you with my child? My expectations or your expectations for me with your child, our children now in this blended family. And so she put you to the test.
Right.
Sure.
And obviously you passed.
Right.
sure.
Right.
But it wasn't easy.
Yeah, no,
No.
oh, absolutely not. I mean, it's not easy when the child is yours. So,
Right,
you know,
right.
So imagine when the child isn't. It's absolutely not easy. But it is what it is. This is the job.
Right.
Now you either accept it and step up to the plate, or you don't and quit wasting people's time.
Yeah. And the other thing we did too is when we talked, when he was gonna deal with Jalen's mom, I let him deal with her. But we had an understanding of respect, like your conversations are about Jalen.
That's right.
There's no small talk, catching up.
No.
But, you know, there's none of that. We talk about Jalen and taking care of him, and that's as far as the conversation goes. And the same thing with me if I'm talking to Trey's father. We talking about Trey, what's going on with him, what he needs. And that's all the relationship is. There is no other stuff. And so he respected me to handle that and be respectful of him. And I did the same. So, you know, when things came up, me and Jalen's mom, we didn't talk much. We rarely talked. I think certain situations come up where we had to speak, but me and her rarely interacted. And the same thing with John. He rarely interacted. But we upheld this trust and integrity that conversations will stay respectful and will stay at what they're supposed to be, you know, in order that I feel comfortable with what's going on and he feel comfortable with what's going on. So I think that has to be established too.
Absolutely. You defined the rules of engagement from the onset.
Absolutely.
It was we're not leaving anything into interpretation.
Right.
This is
right.
what I expect of you in terms of how your communication is going to go. And this is also, more importantly, this is how I support you.
Exactly.
Right. You know, how we're going to support one another. And there's going to be challenges on both sides, but if we preset the rules of engagement in terms of communication, it allows us to go through whatever issues in a smoother way.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, it's Pastor John here. Please, if you like this video that you just saw, hit that like button for us. Second thing I want to ask you to do is to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're putting out videos once a day at about 5:30 p.m. Hit that bell notification so that you'll know when a new video has been uploaded. And then the final thing to do, share this video, share this information. If you know somebody that has a need that it can be benefited by it, please put it out in circulation so that we can try to help as many people as possible. Thanks, and God bless.